Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing? It's Sean here from Voice from the Dirt Road. Good to see you today. I know last week we didn't actually have an episode. Last week I had to go down to Florida. Aunt of mine passed away, and she helped raise me when I was a kid. So I had to show respect. So sorry for that we couldn't do the show. But we're back this week. Excited to be back. A lot of things is actually happening here through on my farm, but also in the world of agriculture across the board. One of the things I want to talk about real quick here is the stools to make sure that everybody clearly understands. So please, hey, keep coming in. I see y'all guys are coming in. This is going to be a great episode. We're going to talk about some of the things happening on the farm and then other things that's currently happening with our farmers. There's a lot of different moving parts. So, but hey, before I jump into that, if you know many of you have been watching the show for a while, one of the things I just want to say is this show is for the rural community, but that's like also for our urban community to get a better understanding as what's happening out here on these dirt roads. So with that being said, we stay laser focused on a couple of things. If you look at our stool, we talk about livestock. I'm on the livestock side of the house with beef cattle, but that also includes pigs, chickens, you name it, anything that deals with livestock with that particular lane. And then on top of that, row crop, as you all guys know, is peanuts, soybeans, and anything else that's being planted. And currently, right now, in certain parts of the country, but specifically down here in the South where we at, farmers are in the process of trying to get seed in the ground. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today because with the war that's going on in Iran, uh, um, fertilizer costs and diesel costs and all those things now having great effect on our row crop, but really on anybody across the board, regardless of what type farming that you're doing. We'll talk more about that later on the show. And then on the flip side of the coin, we have the forestry side of it. And here in the great state of Georgia, I think it was just last week, USDA stepped in and sent some more money to Georgia so that the forestry people that have trees and stuff on their farm from the Hurricane Helene can actually get them replaced. With that being said, I think most of us know when trees are being knocked down and you got to replace them, we're talking 30 to 30 plus years of growth before you get yourself back whole. So as we go through some of these things, we're not going to hit everything today, but I do want to tee some of these things up because we're going to start doing some longer shows, more in-depth shows on some of these actual issues so that we all understand what's going on. And then there in the background, you see the USDA. The USDA is that one pillow that really behind the scenes helps all of us as farmers across the board to be able to make it. And as y'all guys know, right now it's very tough to be a farmer. I don't care which side of the which part of the stool you're in. We're all hurting across the board. You may think you're making money, but if you actually pencil it out and see how much you're paying for your fertilizer, how much you're paying for diesel and everything else, seed and all the inputs, you may find out that you're just doing a labor of love because the math is not mapping out. And then right now, still in DC, I think I talked about it a little bit last time, but still in DC, the farm bill itself still is basically trying to make its way through. But the reality of it is not moving like we want it to move. And part of that is because Congress is focused on the SAVE Act. Congress is focused on trying to get the budget for the TSA agents. So if whatever's working or being worked on the farm bill, it's not getting the same attention as it was. So we're going to still do some more digging to see exactly where we stand on that. So with that is the stew. That's what's been happening in the broader world of agriculture. But let me step back and tell you what's been going on here on my farm before we get too deep into it, because I think most of y'all guys know that I actually work and run and operate my own cattle farm. After I got out of the military, came back here, my wife and I, we actually bought this farm and took it from being a horse farm and turned it into a cattle farm. One of the things I just want to put out there to you, I think it's important that I said is branding your farm, or actually coming up with a logo for your farm, or what is what is the why? What are you doing on your farm? And as you can see there, that's the name of our farm. It's 07 Farms Red Angus. That logo is on our farm. Is where my farm sits on roughly 6 to 7 different mountaintops. We're here in Northwest Georgia with the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and just so happen it's not one flat spot on my farm. It's beautiful. Is awesome. But some days when you try to walk it, it's fun going downhill, but you'll figure out that maybe you should have drove down there, because now you got to walk all the way back up. But that is our brand. Those are our hats. And those are the hats that when I'm out doing business with other farmers, I give them a hat so that they can actually talk about our farm when they're out there, our people. The key thing when I say our farm, I'm in the cattle calf business just like many other guys, but my focus is producing good quality beef, gentle animals, and at the same time to have some of the best genetics. I'm not trying to sell beef to the stockyard or calves to the stockyard. I'm not trying to sell beef that we sell in the grocery store. I'm trying to sell my cows to other farmers or other breeders to say these are some of the best stock, and this is how we improve the overall herd in America. So that is my why, and that is my it. And I just kind of put that out there to any of the farmers that's been around for a while, but especially the new farmers, and especially my brothers and sisters that are veterans that are now getting into farming. I just kind of want to just pass that on to you this morning. So that's what I'm basically talking about, is what you're it, and then what makes you different from everybody else. Because when you get out here in this business, you got to have your own little niche, or you got to have your own path that says, okay, this is what we're doing on our farm, and this is why we're doing it. So with that, I want to just jump right in. Here on our farm, we are regenerative ag. That means that our cows are constantly moving on this farm. We've been working now for the last 3 years to get the infrastructure right, to get the grass or the pastures right. And I'm proud to announce that we just 2 days ago, we finished up all our infrastructure fencing, from cross fencing through paths through the woods to making sure the cows can go all the way around. And the reason why I basically got on my farm shirt today is because as soon as I finish this up, my cows love to move at daybreak. So I'm going to finish this show in enough time that I can get outside and prepare them to move, because today will be the first day on this farm that the cows will be able to go completely around it. And we just finished another path, and that goes through the woods. And they today at 7:34, I will be taking them out. You say, well, how do you know 7:34? Because that's when the sun comes up today. So with that, let me just show you a quick video of me moving the cows from one of the lower pastures in front of the house through the woods up to a back pasture where we actually gave them some shots and everything the other day. So can you play that video, please?
Come on, girls, let's go. New grass, you see it up there. Come on. Come on, calves. Come on. Come on, girls, let's go. Come on, Red Hill. Let's go. Come on, calves. Lead the way. Those are my two little beauties right there. Hey, Big Mom. Come on. New grass up there. Come on, little guy. Come on. Come on. See you bringing up the rear, Alabama. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on, catch up. I'm standing behind this tree because she's still kind of new to the process. Come on, girls. She's new to the process. I don't want to stick. Could be everybody.
Yeah, that's just a scene from I think 2 days ago. When I moved the cows from the front of the farm all the way to the very back. That's an example of that path that I was telling you about. That's one path. I'm proud to say we just finished the second path. And when I finished this show this morning, they will be going down the second path for the very first time. And that would take them all the way back out to the very front of the farm. And then from that, they will start a process of going through 7 pastures over a period of time. So just to let you know, from the time they go in this front pasture today to the time they come all the way back behind the house this afternoon, I mean, where they are currently at right now is roughly somewhere between 65 to 70 days, depending on how the grass is growing. So that's how we actually do it. That's how we make sure that our cows are never actually eating in a pasture where they've been using the restroom. I'll say it that way. So we're constantly focused on the grass, but we're constantly focused on the health of our cattle and treating them extremely well. And as you can see, they're very gentle. And at the same time, you don't need a whole bunch of people hollering and screaming to make things happen. So the other thing is, hey, just I think it was yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. When we moved those cows up, we actually started them through the process. Calving season is actually over right now. And in addition to that, from that, we're just making sure all the cows get all their medicines that they need to have or vaccines they need to have. Want to make sure we deworm them because they're coming off the winter. And from that, we did that particular process. And on top of that, we're looking at our bull calves. We're going to be some of them going to stay as bulls, but others are going to become steers. That means they're going to be castrated or they'll go through that entire process. As you can see there, like I said, I don't talk about farming. I actually do it. So in between everything else that I got going on, like any other farm, we're all busy. I have to get out there and make things happen. And I love it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually love it. It was a dream, and I get to get the opportunity to live it. So with that, we're doing these. I think it's important that as with this Voices from the Dirt Road, you hear me up here talking about what's going on in farming and this and that. But I also think it's important that you know behind the scenes that I actually do it. So the things that I'm sharing with you are things that, okay, I have taken the time to read for myself to say, how does that apply to our farm? How does that apply to other farms in the area? And I just think that's very important. So that's that. Let's move on to what is happening out there in the greater United States, because as y'all guys know, we're in a war right now over in Iran. Not going to get into the political piece of that piece, but it is having great effect on us right now here in the United States. I don't care what type farm you're in, because diesel prices is up, fertilizer prices are up, all kind of things. So let's get into the very first video on that, because I want to talk about it a little bit and then we'll move on.
Iowa farmers are sounding the alarm on and fertilizer amidst the war in Iran. KCCI's Abigail Curtin spoke with one who says he's not sure what to expect for this year's planting and beyond.
You've seen it at the gas pump, maybe even at the grocery store. Prices on the rise stateside as war continues in Iran. But one Iowa farmer says the timing couldn't be worse.
We have to plant a crop, just plain and simple. That's what has to happen. Is less fertilizer going to be used? Absolutely.
In just a few weeks, corn farmers like Lance Lillibridge will fertilize their fields in preparation for spring planting, which starts in early to mid-April. The process also takes a lot of fuel to power farm equipment. The problem? Getting that fuel and fertilizer to the U.S. Currently, oil tankers and fertilizer transports aren't able to safely pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway near Iran which handles a significant percentage of global energy and fertilizer supply, which means massive uncertainty for Iowa's farmers.
A lot of places won't even price the fertilizer to us. So if we went in and wanted to prepay for some fertilizer for spring application, they won't take a check. They'll let us commit to a volume, a certain tonnage, but they won't give us a price on it.
Some farmers might end up foregoing their fertilizer on some of their land. And while they might be able to skate by this year, it could mean yields in future years are lower than they'd like. But the biggest problem is this price hike is happening after years of already high input costs and low commodity prices. And for some farmers, it's a breaking point.
A lot of guys have just said, I'm done. We're going to quit. They're hanging it up. There's sales everywhere. Lots and lots of farm sales. Financially, it's causing a lot of mental health problems as well.
While President Trump has offered military support in transporting those ships through the Strait of Hormuz, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty Iowans can see at the gas pump, at their grocery stores, and now in their fields.
As y'all guys can see there, everybody's struggling across the board. One of the things before I jump into the video, I did see with somebody I actually look at the questions, and I see here that we just put up on the screen. It says, talking about, Sean, do you know anything about milk? I saw something on the key thing on the milk piece, at least when it comes to my farm. I'm on the beef cattle side of the house. So all the milk that our cows are producing is strictly there to actually help the calves grow. I do know, I know some other farmers in the area that are on the dairy side of the house, and on the dairy side of the house, those are the ones that are producing the milk that you actually drink when you go to the grocery store. I know it has been some discussion about drinking raw milk. I think, as some of y'all guys know, my wife is a physician, and I just would tell you, based on my experience of being overseas and being in different places where they drink raw milk, you have to be very careful to ensure that, in theory, you would say, yeah, it's not going to be any problem, but you could have a bad reaction, or your body just don't actually agree with it. So where I'm at when it comes to the milk piece of it, I want to make sure that USDA is checking everything to ensure that we don't actually make somebody sick or any of things like that. But what I will do is we'll look into it a little bit more in detail, and maybe potentially bring some dairy farmers onto the show and let them actually talk that particular piece, because I don't want to misspeak. But like I said, the type farming that I'm in is in beef cattle. I'm specifically going into cow-calf operations, where I'm selling those calves off to other farmers so that they can actually improve their herd. So I don't want to misspeak and say something wrong. But basically, back to the video that we just saw there. Let me get back to my notes. Give me 1 second. Back to the video that we just saw. As you can see, and I think this is very important, we obviously know in the middle of war, we obviously know that prices have went sky high. Here in the great state of Georgia, Governor Kemp just signed an executive order that took taxes off of our gas prices and diesel prices. But the reality of it is, even with him taking that off on the diesel prices, I think I bought diesel 3 days ago, whatever it was $5.19 right there in Cedartown, Georgia. Now I think it's $4.99 or $4.90-something. That's that 37% or 34%, whatever it was on the tax they took off. But that is still way high. And it's going to make it very hard for farmers to actually make ends meet. So with that being said, the other piece I want to just bring to everybody's attention. You guys know I did some time over the Middle East, and I clearly know what I'm talking about on this piece. Much of our fertilizer, or the basic pieces that have to come to where we make fertilizer, comes out of the Middle East. It comes through the Strait of Hormuz. But the other piece I want to make sure that you clearly understand is that when that fertilizer or products start in the Straits of Hormuz, it takes anywhere from 60 to 80 days, depending on the weather and all those kind of things with what's happening out in the middle of the ocean, before it actually gets here, and then ultimately gets to the warehouses where the farmers can go and get it. One of the things I want to make sure that people understand is, I think the Trump administration, I think the governors, I think across the board, we need to launch major investigations into price gouging, because the fertilizer that farmers are trying to buy right now has been sitting in somebody's building for months. So that means that when they bought that fertilizer, they bought it at the price when it was cheap. Well, if you want to say cheap, when it was before this war that we're actually in. And I think that's important, that all the farmers need to get together and start pushing, calling your representatives to say, hey, somebody need to look into this at the state level, but somebody also need to look at the federal level, because we got a situation of price gouging, because the fertilizer that is in the building, that particular company bought that fertilizer well before this war, and they bought it at a lower rate, and now they're trying to sell it at a higher rate as if it's still on a ship. And the reality of it is that ship has yet to make it through the Straits of Hormuz, and that is the fertilizer that should be higher versus the fertilizer here on the ground. Only reason I bring that to your attention is because I'm concerned that some of our farmers are going to end up filing for bankruptcy, or they're going to make a decision, say, okay, we're going to try to grow a crop without the fertilizer. And just like I said in the video, we may get a crop this year, but it may hurt us next year, and then we won't be able to feed America or feed the world. And I just personally hate when somebody takes greed into places and try to get over, especially on our farmers, our veterans, and across the board, and just everyday people. So that's that. So I just want to bring that to your attention. One other article I just want to talk about real quick this morning, because like I told you, I'm not going to keep you too long today, but it's this article here I read just the other day. I'm surprised it hadn't got that much attention by the USDA. But a decision was made to cancel a program of $300 million program. This program here was designed to help underrepresented farmers. Yes, I understand the whole DEI thing. I'm not going to get into that, but at the end of the day, what I want to make sure that everybody understands is even though it's showing this cotton stuff, many of these farmers here that are Black farmers, immigrant farmers, indigenous farmers, and veterans, and other served groups, including women. These are the farmers many a times that are actually growing vegetables. These are the farmers that when you go to the market, that's where you get your little honey, and you go and you get your fresh vegetables. So these are the ones that when we say feeding America, these are the people that are actually feeding you every day, versus some of our larger farms are on the commodity side. That means they're actually growing hundreds and thousands of acres of corn that is ultimately not for you to eat, but it's actually to be harvested. It goes overseas to China. China then feeds it to their pigs, and then China sells us pork back here. That's how that system works. So when I read this, it concerned me, not because I'm African American, but it concerned me because, as y'all guys know, I'm a veteran. One of the ways that I was able to purchase this farm and put everything into it is because they considered me a veteran and gave us a chance to get into farming. And one of the things that's currently happening inside of the military as you transitioning out is a program that I went through, Boots to Farming, or Farmers to Boots, whatever you want to say, is transitioning, saying to veterans, you can come out of the military. We'll help you get on your feet. We'll help you get a piece of property. And now you can work that piece of property, because a lot of our veterans don't want to be in crowded areas. So it's a great way to be out on the land and at the same time have purpose and kind of go from there. So when I read this article, it caught my attention, because not because of the DEI piece. I understand what's currently going on with the government. That's a whole different story. But what caught my attention was, wait a minute. Here we are trying to give money to the farmers, but at the same time, the least of the farmers that are out there, we cut in a program, all because it had 3 letters in front of it. I think we need to turn back around. And if I get a chance to speak to our Secretary of Agriculture, I'm going to say to her, we need to correct ourselves, because at the end of the day, farmers as a group are already struggling. The last thing we need to be doing is making even more struggle. because at the end of the day, when I see where veterans and minorities and women and everybody's not having an opportunity to get in agriculture, agriculture is already hard. Everybody does not wake up in the morning saying they want to come into to be a farmer. This is not easy work. Like I said, as soon as I jump off this thing, I'm going outside to move these cows. And those cows, they got a mind of their own. Either it's going to work great today or it's going to be a pile of manure. I just say it that way. But I love it. But I want to make sure that everybody that wants to get into farming has a way to get in. And right now, farming is very expensive to get in. And programs like this were supposed to help others get in there. We will do a deep dive into this particular subject because I am, like I said, I want to make sure that everybody who wakes up in the morning and say, I want to be a farmer in whatever capacity you want to be, however big you want to be or how small you want to be, I want to make sure that you have that opportunity because we can mess around here and cut off our nose and then find out that the farmers that are actually out there getting at it every day are actually producing commodities that are sold overseas, and nobody's actually producing vegetables that you're actually eating on a daily basis that you can actually go to the grocery store and get. So this is a national security issue as far as I'm concerned, and I continue to have further discussions on that at a later date. But I did want to bring that to your attention. The reason why I also bring that to your attention is currently right now, 63 farmers per day is actually filing for bankruptcy. And when I say filing for bankruptcy, it's not like the farmer wants to file for bankruptcy. It's the bank that's saying, hey, you have got too many liens against your land. We can't give you any more money. So sorry, you can't go buy the seed, you can't go buy the fertilizer, you can't go buy the diesel. And all those things come back to the early part of our show. All of those inputs are higher now. And what concerns me is more and more farmers going to end up, we pray they don't have to, but we're going to see more and more farmers end up having to file bankruptcy. That means their farmland goes up for sale. That concerns me. Can another farmer actually afford it, or is corporate America going to come and buy it up and plant houses everywhere? That is a whole different show in itself. But all that feeds into the last part of what I always say on every show is mental health. I'm truly concerned about our farmers and their mental health. We definitely here in the rural community don't have enough mental health facilities. Farmers are actually committing suicide at a faster rate than veterans. And like I already mentioned, veterans are being encouraged to go into farming because it's a way that you have purpose, a way that you can be out in the open spaces and have a purpose for what you want to do the second part of your life. But here I want to encourage farmers, if you have any issues out there, please, before you make a short-term decision for a long-term issue, call that 988 number, and there'll be somebody on that line or talk with you and help you get to the next day, because that's what all it takes sometimes. Just get to the next day. Today may look kind of blurry or look like a bad day, but if you can just make it to the next day, the sun will come up and somebody can help you get a better solution. So that's where we're at. I know today's show's been pretty quick. I think it's only been right now 29 minutes, about to be 30 minutes. But like I said, I wanted to let you know that we had to miss last week because my aunt passed away, and I definitely had to be there no matter what else was going on in my life. I was going to be there in Ocala, Florida. So big shout out to all my family and friends down in Ocala. But on top of that, next Friday is Good Friday. Out of respect for Easter and out of respect for the holiday, we will not be actually having a show. I want you to spend some time with your family, pull back, because that's what we're going to do here on our farm. We're going to pull back and spend some time with the family, spend some time, go see grandkids. The grandkids come see us. We'll see you the week after that. So with that, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for just taking the time to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and listen to this old crazy veteran get up here and talk to you about farming. So again, thank you. Appreciate it. And y'all guys, hey, my coffee cup. Did we have a question before we get off? Let me just see. Oh, somebody says thank you. Take care, Sean. Life. Okay, thank you very much. And guys, my coffee cup is empty. We're done.